Hello, Stampers. Welcome to Learning with Friends. I am Pat Fairless from Fairless Stamp and Flair, and it is Fun Fold Week. So we're going to make it's actually a pretty easy fun fold, but what I like about it is it doesn't look like it was easy. So when you send it to somebody, they're going to be impressed, and you're just going to realize, it was a piece of cake. So let me flip my camera down, and we will get started. So the Fun Fold, I'm not exactly sure what it's called. I'm going to call it a Center Surprise Pop-Out. And here's my little practice piece with my dimensions written on it. So if I want to make it again, I will remember. But we all have a belly band to kind of hold it closed. And then it really looks like a gatefold. But when it opens and you set it up, the center panel pops out. Okay, so it will look like this. Now my little sample here has taken a beating. I've played with it many times, but we're gonna fold it like this, and then this one folds. So it kind of looks like a W, okay? And I've probably got this glued down a little bit too far. I will show you, sometimes it does help to make sure when we adhere this, we don't adhere too much of it, because we really kind of want it to curve and push it out. And I found it does help to sort of fold these back just a little bit. And that way it pops out a little bit better. Okay, so you get the idea. So let's go ahead. I'm going to make one card, which I have not put together, but I do have a lot of the work done. So you don't have to watch my slow stamping and all of that. Actually, it doesn't have much stamping. And we are going to use let me grab my sheet here and just put this down in place. Try to keep things a little clean. We're going to use a new stamp set from the new catalog, which will be available late next week, I think it is. I want to say May 6th, May 5th. I should have checked, but I didn't. And it's called Turtley Awesome. It's got some cute little fun turtles, dies that coordinate. There's a lot of dies on here that make things other than the stamps you see. So I'm going to show you some of those as well. I didn't use them all. Some of them I honestly haven't figured out what they do yet. And some are obvious. So that's what we're going to use today. And the paper that comes with that suite of products is called Turtley Cute. The stamp set is called Turtley Awesome, or the bundle, and the suite is called Turtley Cute. And so let me just quickly show it. I've got some of these cut out because I made it easy on myself. For the turtles, we have dies that actually match this paper. So I'm going to grab a couple of these dies. And there are dies that match a lot of things in the paper, but we have one turtle that looks, well, I think it's this turtle right here. So this die will cut him out. And the cool part about these dies is it also slices around his arm. So this arm stays attached, but it pops out and you can stick things behind it. So that's one of the turtles that has a coordinating die. I think there's a second one on here that is more standing a little bit upright. I get confused which ones are on which paper. Oh, there's one that holds the balloon right here in the center. And this turtle can be cut out. All three of the turtles can be cut out. There's 3 turtles in the stamp set, and all 3 occur somewhere in the paper. You have to hunt a little bit, but the other one is on a different sheet of paper, and it's this guy who's laying on his back right here. And so this die cuts him out. And we will use all 3. I already have them cut out because you don't need to watch me do that. And I kind of have my turtles assembled. There's also things in here that it will cut out. It cuts out the birds. It cuts out the ice cream cones. One of the pages, this one has some cakes on it. It'll cut out the little cakes. It cuts out the hats. So a lot of fun dies that go with this suite that you can get next week, one of those days next week. So let's go ahead and get started. So our card base, I should tell you, I will post one of the cards I show you today will be on my blog, FlorilaStampandFlair.com tomorrow, and it will have a written tutorial with all the dimensions and some sketches that show diagrams that show what you cut and score. That'll all be on there, and then it will have detailed directions for that particular card. But the reality is all of these cards, the base mechanism is the same. So got my little arrows here to try to teach me to stay in the center of my screen. But if you, let me lay this here. If you want to take a screenshot for a minute, you can. The card base is going to measure 8 by 5.5, and we will score at 2, 4, and 6. I have it cut. I'm going to do the scoring on live today. The mechanism, that little pop-out mechanism, is 5" by 1", and it's scored at 1/2 and 4.5, which is really 1/2 inch from each side. And then we have decorative panels that we use to decorate it. You can make those 5 1/4 by 1 3/4. Just FYI, I like a little smaller border sometimes than I get with a 1/4 inch difference. And so I actually used 5 5/16 by 1 13/16 for my panels. But you can use the quarters. I know a lot of people don't like 16ths. I don't mind them. I'm used to working in tenths of millimeters. So 16ths are fine. The pop-up panel, you can make, and this is the pop-up, the panel that pops up. This one here. You can really make this one any size you want, no matter, and it doesn't even have to be a rectangular panel. You could just put a bouquet of balloons directly on the mechanism, maybe some flowers. So I would say you probably want it to be max about 5 by 3 1/4. The only thing you have to watch out for is that when you close it, it will fit in this area. That's the thing you want to, because you're going to close it like this, like a gatefold. And then when you open it like a W, right? But when you close it, you want to make sure this fits in there. So depending on what you want to do, you can pretty much make that any size you want. The belly band is 10 by 1. So hopefully you were able to get a screenshot, but if not, tomorrow, FlorilaStampandFlair.com, there will be a written tutorial. So here's our card base. It is cut 8 by 5.5. Now, note it's 8, not 8.5. Normally we use 8.5 by 5.5. This is 8. If you use 8.5, it won't come out right. So use 8. And we are going to score this at 2, 4, and 6. So I'm going to pull this out just to fit so I can get to the 6 without a problem. And I need to slide this down so you can see it. So we will score at 2. I'll get the cutter out of the way, Pat. And here's 2, 4, and 6. Doesn't get much easier than that, does it? That's whole inches. We don't even have to worry about quarters, let alone 8s or 16s. So I am going to burnish these. The one in the middle, if we make this the inside, and it's not really the inside, it actually is the show surface. But we're gonna fold it in this direction, and then we're gonna fan fold it into a W here. And I'm gonna burnish this good. I'm hoping the white shows up pretty well for you. A couple of the samples I'm going to show you are made with colored cardstock, but sometimes I find it might be easier to see the white. So burnish these very well. And I will tell you, the two on the outside, go ahead and burnish them in both directions. Because when the card is closed, it's going to be this way when you put it in the mail. You could put it the other way, but then your pop-up thing is out on the back side. So you probably want to do it this way. But your center one's going to fold this way. And these, when you stand it up, are going to fold like this, like a W. But when you close it, you're going to fold them like this. So I kind of like to take these outer ones and just burnish it each way. It just kind of makes it just work a little bit better. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to put in our mechanism. And our mechanism is 5 by 1, scored at 1/2 and 4.5, or just 1/2 inch on each side. And get my trimmer back out here. So I'll grab the cutter. I'm really good at grabbing the cutter. So I'm going to just do 1/2 inch on each side. Just makes it a little bit easier. But I tell you what, before I do the second one, let me set this out of the way. What I found is when you assemble this, so let's fold this one back and burnish it. When you assemble this, it's going to be assembled between this 2 and 6 inch score line, and you're going to do it about here in the middle. Well, let me bring it up a little bit closer. You want to make sure that it is just inside this fold. You don't want it sticking beyond the fold, because when you close the card, you want to be able to easily close this. So if you have it out, if you have it just the other way, it's going to want to push it up. And if you're like me and you often don't cut exactly, sometimes it doesn't. I found if I scored these both 1/2 at each side with this at 5, sometimes it worked fine and it folded right in the middle where it needed to be, or it lined up on the inside of both folds. One of the cards I didn't, it was over. So what I found, my easier thing was go ahead and score one at 1/2 inch, then lay it on there like I just did. Get this side inside the fold a little bit, and then just mark this one inside the fold. And if you're really good, that would come out 1/2 inch, but you can see it didn't, right? And it has to do with your scoring and your folding. If you're off just a tiniest little bit, it may end up a little bit too long. So use the 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch, or 1/2 inch and 4.5 as a general rule. But now I lay this on here, and if I hold this up, you can see it is inside, just on the inside edge of the fold on both of them. So now we're going to adhere this down, and we want to use some good strong adhesive. You could use liquid gold glue, but just make sure before you start messing with it, it's dry. I like to use tear and tape. It's just a little bit stronger. I have better luck on fun folds with tear and tape than I do with liquid glue sometimes. Maybe I don't wait long enough for it to dry before I start playing with it. That's probably my problem. I get a little over anxious. Burnish your tape a little bit just to make sure it's stuck really good. If that mark bothers you, just take an eraser. If your little pencil mark bothers you, you can just erase that. And here's where I should learn to use my your pick tool, right? To get my tape off. But I find it just as easy to just use my fingernail. I have very thin, weak fingernails, so it slides behind there. Now I'm going to center it approximately vertically within the, between the top and the bottom, and get it just inside There. If you're off a little bit, it's fine. So now you can see how this is going to pop out. And also what I mean by you only want to sort of attach that piece in the very center of this. You don't want to go way out here because then it's not going to, it wants to curve. So if you have it adhered all the way out here, it's not going to let you pop it open as much as you want. Does that make sense? So just kind of adhere it. Maybe you can do about an inch or so. And that's where I said, once you get your piece on there, whatever it is, you can go back, and I'll do this once I get mine on, and just crease this so that it pops out and you stay flat. So now we're going to decorate, and I am going to use some of the, I didn't show you all the paper. I guess I should have showed you all of it because we're going to use some of these pretty patterns. And I'm like, this one that one looks like turtles, and I've got some stripes. So I showed you how to cut it out with the dies and which items you can cut out. But let's look at the others. Here's some turtle shells. Here's some stripes. Here's some other turtles. I did not find anything on here that a die would cut out. I might have missed something, but these guys are cute too. These are little grill masters. Or here's kind of this turtle's got her hair wrapped up. And the towel must have just got out of the shower, the beach shower, right? And this sheet has items that you can cut out for your background scenes, and then you can add your turtles to it. Let me flip it over. Here's some more turtles. These are kind of our explorer turtles. Looks like we got a beekeeper and guy with his binoculars. Here's our musical turtles, and there is a banjo in the dies that you can make using some of the dies, and I'll show you that because I did use that for our guy. And then here's some more just backgrounds, some small shells. Here's the music, one that goes with the music, some stripes, and some polka dots, and I did use the polka dots too. So really cute, sweet. But now we're going to go ahead and let's put this on. I'm going to put on the outside panels. And you wouldn't have to put DSP on these. You could just use some embossed cardstock. Whatever it is you like to do to decorate your fun folds. I like to use my DSP. And here's where you can see I used the 3/16 smaller. This is 5.5 by 2, so I went 3/16 less on all sides, or cut it 3/16 less. So I've got a little bit smaller gap than I would get. I just kind of, sometimes when I have narrow panels like this, I don't like to have too big of gaps and want a little bit more of the paper to show. So I will, instead of going a full 1/4 inch, which is 4/16, I will just go 3/16. That makes sense. Sorry if you don't like my complicated dimensions. You can use quarters. Do what you like. This is not part of the fun fold. We've basically got the fun fold completed. We've got our mechanism done, and now all we've got to do is decorate it. So I'm hoping this turns out cute. I have not seen it because I didn't make it yet. It's only in my head, but I did make my little turtles. Of course, my glue is going to run low. And here for the center, you're probably wondering, why didn't I put these on here first? Because if I put the mechanism here first and then go back and put these on, I have now covered up that piece of the mechanism that was glued on the inside. So there we go. That is the front of our card. On the tutorial, I call this the show surface, because we are going to decorate the back as well, because if you can, I mean, you can see there's really no place to write any message. So we're going to decorate the back as well to give us a place to write our message. But I'm going to just focus on the show surface and get that finished first. So now let's go ahead and make our pop-up panel. And I did this. All I really have left is assembly for, I don't know what, I got a couple different sentiments here, different size ones. I used the textured notes dies to die cut these. Let me show you those. If I have them out here, not sure if I do. But I did. There we go. These are the textured note dies. They're layering rectangles, and they all have these beautiful borders around them that get embossed onto the cardstock when you do it. So this is the second largest one, and this is the third largest. That fit well, I thought, within the inside of my card. And of course, you got to worry about the biggest one. So before I adhere, we're going to make this next. Okay. So here are my two little turtles. And you can see, so here are the standing turtle. I die cut him out of the designer paper like I showed you. There's no die for the chef's hat, but I fussy cut that and then gave him a little chef's hat. Used a die to die cut the apron. That's one of the Turtley Awesome dies. It is this little apron die. And here's what I wanted to show you what's cute is when you cut these out, see how his little arm is partially cut, so you can easily slip the apron behind it. And then I die cut a cake from the DSP and just gave him some cake. So he's going to kind of go on here. Here's my other little turtle. This is the left facing turtle. The other one's right facing. And this arm is loose. When you die cut it, it just partially cuts that out. So now this is the one who works nicely with the banjo. So to make this banjo, that took me a bit of figuring how to make a banjo, because I had a die like this, and at first I'm like, what is this? It looks like a telephone pole. It took me a long time to figure out this is the fret bar or whatever that thing on the banjo is called. And it also cuts a little piece here that I used down at this end. And how did I figure that out? I looked at the designer paper and the turtle that had the banjo, and I saw there was a little piece, a little color down here. So that's what I did. Looks like I got some glue on it. That's fine. I used this balloon die. This one cuts balloons, and there's a balloon stamp. Then I just cut off the string for the balloon and made the little red piece so it had some color. There is a little circle die that I just cut out of basic white and put that on there. And when I looked at the designer paper, I saw it looked like they had some shading on here, which kind of gave a little bit of detail to that. Let me show you the designer paper. Gave a little detail to that banjo. So here's his banjo. And this is a different turtle because he's facing the other way. But it helped me figure out what that little piece was for down here at the bottom side of my banjo, because I saw that little thing. I'm like, what is that? So then I figured out that went here. I saw they have a black line on theirs, which kind of gives a little definition, I guess. So I just took my Sharpie marker, fine tip, made a black line. And then here I used, this is made out of Darling Duckling, the new one of the new in colors. And I did get my Stampin' Right markers. We don't have blends to go with it yet from the pre-order. But so I just took that marker and added a little bit of shading, and I just thought it gave it a little bit more detail, probably more than you need to know. So let's go ahead and figure out, we're going to put this under his arm here. And you can see how his arm lifts up. And it probably should be right around there somewhere. I want to get it in front of his face. And we got to tip it though, don't we? Because his hand's up here, so it's got to go up that way. So I think that's about where I need to stick that. So I am just going to put a little bit of liquid adhesive here on the back, and we will tuck that back in there. Something like that. Maybe that's a good thing without liquid adhesive. You can move it around if you have to. So let's just hold that in place. So all right, so my two turtles are done. Other than the little bit of die cutting I did from cardstock for the banjo, all the rest, his hat was used to die from the DSP, and everything on this little guy was from the DSP. So makes it kind of quick and easy. So let's just add some dimensionals on the back here. Now when I pop up, this is just my hint, this is not necessary. When I pop up something that's DSP, I like to provide a little more stiffness than you just get with the DSP. So I did take my turtle die, the one I used to cut out the DSP, and I cut out a piece of white that I've been adhered to the back of it. It just gives them a little bit more stiffness when you pop it up with dimensionals. So let's put one behind his hat, one behind the cake. I didn't stiffen the hat or the cake. It's fine. We'll just use a dimensional behind there. Just don't glue the arm down, because you do want to be able to lift this up. So if you do like to use a stiffener, don't glue his arm to the DSP, because then you won't be able to tuck your apron or your guitar banjo behind there. Let me get this out of the way. There are a lot of dies, 19 dies in this stamp set, and a lot of them are very tiny and very easy to misplace. So I thought I would just, I gotta make sure I stay inside the thing. So I don't want to go out too much beyond it, but I can a little bit. So one's bringing the cake to the party and the other one's bringing the music, because we're having a birthday party. So let's put our chef right about there. And here's our music maker. I could have just done one, but I really wanted to just kind of play with the dies. So I was just having fun playing. I'm like, well, if I stagger them like this, I can get them on here. That way I could show you a little bit more of what's there. So I took my background here is shaded spruce. That's one of the greens in the paper. This is a stamp from it. Hope your birthday is totally awesome. And I was trying to figure out where to put it. I think I can either wrap it or I can put this. I think I'm going to wrap it behind. I don't know if you ever do that. I learned that that's a Brandy Cox trick, if you know Brandy. Stampin' Up's #1 demo. One of the sweetest people you will ever meet. But I learned this from her. So she does this a lot, where she just wraps her sentiment or greeting around the back, folds it under. I think it's a good idea. It's a really nice idea for a couple reasons. One, it looks cute because it has some lift to it, right? So it looks like it gives it some dimension, but when you put it in your envelope, it doesn't add any additional bulk because it will lay flat with whatever you have there. So I kind of like that idea. So let's go ahead and see if I can get a little bit more adhesive out of here. And you know me, I gotta turn it on its side or I can't get it straight. Even then, I don't always get it straight. In fact, more times than not, I don't get it straight. I'll kind of hold that down for just a second. And now we can adhere this to our mechanism. And I am just going to adhere this about, like I said, about 1 inch in the center. And again, this is, I could put it with dimensionals, which would make it pop a little bit more. But I think because I've got layers on this side with dimensionals and I've got some stuff on the back we're going to put on, I'm just going to put it here only in the center. So I am just going to make my 2 pieces of tear and tape about that long. And we will adhere it to that. And then I'm just going to center it in the panel, center it vertically and side to side as best I can. Try to get it straight. Give it a press. And now what I said, if you want it to pop out a little bit better than what it will, because it wants to restrict it from folding this back, right? You can take this and just kind of go in here. You don't have to fully crease it, but just give it a partial little fold back there, and then go across on the other side and do it at as close to the same distance as you can. Otherwise it'll pop out crooked. And I'm not really totally creasing it, but there we go. And then this is why I said it works good to burnish this back the other way as well, because you want that to go back. You want this to be in a W, and then it will stand up very nicely. It can be a little top heavy sometime, and you do have to once in a while just crease it, but there you go. You get what it looks like. But that's our fun fold. So let's go ahead and finish the back now. And because I have white here, I really wouldn't have to put any panels, and I think it needs to look a little more finished than that. So we're going to put some panels on there. Of course, I got glue where I don't want it. That's why we have these little glue erasers, right? And we're going to get that off. And let's go ahead and add some Designer Series paper. I'm going to put this one on the outside. This is the one I had on the inside panels on the front. But here on the back, let's just go ahead and put it here. On both sides. What are you thinking about these turtles? Kind of cute. This was one of the, when I went to On Stage back in March, feels like forever ago. If we wanted to do some after-hours stamping, we could order, we had a choice of 2 different bundles to order. One was flowers and one was these turtles. And I have so many flowers, so I decided to get the turtles. And when we played with it on stage, I'll be honest, I wasn't real sure how I felt about it. I can show you my 2 cards. I got them laying here. Maybe I should do that. But let's go ahead and just decorate this just a smidge. It is photopolymer, so I am going to put it on my piercing mat, and we're going to put a cake on this one and an ice cream cone on the other one. Now these, I did show you that there are dies that cut out these same images on the DSP. I could have just done those, but I thought I didn't want to have to do more die cutting. And this way I can just, we'll just color these with some Stampin' Blends. So we'll give them a crumb cake ice cream cone. Some strawberry ice cream, I guess. Strawberry and vanilla. That way I only got to color one of them. We'll just color the top one. This is, color did I pick? Light Poppy Parade. We can play with this as little or as much as we want with some shading. Not that big a deal. I could have given him some chocolate ice cream too. Let's keep a vanilla ice cream on the, or should I do chocolate ice cream? Maybe we should make chocolate cake. I'm thinking we should make a chocolate cake. What do you think? Let's make chocolate cake. I'll use crumb cake. A little dark, a little light for chocolate, but it's milk chocolate, not dark chocolate. And give them a, let's just give them a red dish here. Keep it simple. And some little yellow on our candles. Okay. I could spend more time coloring, but that is not the point. So for the center here, if I had used colored cardstock for my fun fold, like if I'd used shaded spruce, I would have just put white on here. But putting white on here looked kind of blah. So I did cut the white down a little bit and made this the same size as those. So let's just go ahead and mount these, and then we'll make our belly band. And this is an 8th, I've got an 1/8 inch difference here. So a 16th, cut it at 1/8 smaller. So I kept the border even smaller on here. But again, if you like 1/4 inches, that works best for you. Go for it. Whatever you like. It doesn't really matter. That's totally a personal preference. I have friends that look at me like I'm crazy when I say I use 16ths and 8ths, and it's probably the engineer in me hasn't worn off yet. I don't mind working with a little bit smaller dimensions. I prefer the visual with the smaller borders sometimes, depending on the card. And when I got like 4 panels like this, if they were all large borders, to me it just doesn't. Oh, I must put that on. Oh, I hope I have this right. Right side up. Yeah, I made one yesterday and I got it all put together and I'm like, oh, that's not right. I had this going one way and then this one was this way. So luckily I found it when I could still take it apart. So there we go. Our card, unfold portion of the card is finished. So let's make our belly band. This will be quick. I have all these pieces done. This is 10 by 1. And again, here's how we're going to close our card. So we're going to take, and you could use DSP for this belly band. You could use whatever you want. I could have used maybe the cute polka dots like I put in his apron. Would have been fun. But we're just going to wrap this around here. And if you've ever done a belly band, you know you do not want to wrap this too tight. Because if you make it too tight, it becomes really difficult to get them on and off. So I do usually use liquid adhesive here. I'll put some on this side and some on this side. And then when I go ahead and close it, I've got glue on both sides of the tab. You could use tear and tape, you can use whatever you want. Let's just put that on there. Oh, that works good. See, I can slide that. Like I said, if you get it too tight, it becomes, that's another reason liquid adhesive works, because if it's tight, you got a little bit of time to pull it apart a little bit. But that slides pretty good. All right, so here's where now we're just going to embellish the center of it here. I used my Stylish Shapes dies and cut a circle, and then I embossed it with the Turtle Textures embossing folder that looks like this. You can see that. It's got the turtle shell design on it. So I embossed it with that. This is just, I think, the second largest Stylish Shapes on here. And then this is the little laying down turtle that I cut out. And here I made my sentiment from another stamp set, another stamp in there. I embossed this with white. And we are going to put him, he needs to be laying on his back. And we'll stick this up here. Let it hang out a little bit. Do I want this to go under or over? I think I want it to be under. So let me find my dimensionals. Okay, just have. And figure out where I'm going to put him here, because I'm going to have it hanging off, so I want to make sure I don't have any over here. So we will just put 2 on here. Almost done. Sorry, it's probably getting a little bit long. I hope you think it's worth it. I think it's going to be a really cute card. It'll make somebody smile when they get it, I think. And then I'll put this on with dimensionals too, and we'll just have him hang. I think I'll put it right about there, so I'm going to keep. I'm going to put 3 under here, and then let's put a little one under his head. You know me and my dimensionals by now. I love dimensionals. Okay, and now I'm going to put this on my belly band. This is why I said let's keep it. And I could glue this directly to that. Or again, I could pop this up on dimensionals. I already have a couple layers under here, so I am going to go ahead and just adhere this directly to my belly band. And I'm going to use tear and tape. It's nice and strong, because this probably is going to get worked just a little bit. Make sure I didn't make that too long, did I? Okay, that'll cover. I'm going to make the one on the bottom a little bit shorter, I think, because it was close. I almost made that too long. And one more piece to get off. All right, now the main thing here is to make sure my sentiment is straight. Right? Oh, it just fits. Bring it down. There we go. Okay. And there is our completed card. The only thing, we do always need a little bit of bling. And I have a brand new pack of bling here from the same suite. These are called Shades of Green Hexagons. They're kind of like little they're not sequins. They actually have dimension to them. They're raised hexagons. So, oh, what shall I put? Maybe I better use the small ones. And do I want the dark? Oh, you know me. This can turn into a project, right? Let's use these light ones. They match the turtle. And I think normally we like 3s. I'm not sure. Yeah, 3 still looks better. Odd numbers. And let's, on the inside, we'll use these same light green ones, I guess. All shades of green. And maybe I'll use a little bit bigger one down here. There. Oh, we got some bling on the inside. And some bling on our belly band. What do you think? Cute? I think it turned out all right. Clean up some stuff here and show you the other 2 cards I made with this fun fold. They are totally different. Not of the cute variety, I would say. Sometimes we like cute. Sometimes we like pretty. I'm cleaning up my mess. All right. I have dimensionals everywhere. So let me show you the other 2 cards. And I did not create an envelope for you today. You know I'm just going to use this DSP and decorate my envelope. That's what I'll do. This stamp set, or this card here, a little bit different, is made with Woven Textures Designer Series paper and the You Are Remarkable stamp set. This is an online exclusive available currently. This flower is probably the easiest 2-step flower I have ever stamped to a line. So I made just a little portion of it here for on my belly band. Again, you can see I use these textured notes dies. I love those dies. Here I used the same Designer Series paper from Textured Notes. I could have mixed it up, but I kept it on the layer on the card panels. I used the same kind of a heavy canvasy looking thing. And then one of the textures is this linen. I bring that in close. Can you see that linen background? This is really pretty. And I just stamped the flower directly on that. And then I fussy cut the sentiment. There's this cute little bee in that stamp set. Cute. So he's just stamped there. And then on the back here, I just put the white panel, stamp the flower again. And that is that card. This would stand like this, of course, right? So there's that one. And then this next one I'm showing you, this will be on my blog tomorrow. This will post at fearlessstampandflair.com, so you can get the tutorial for this. This is made with Cheers and Sips. This is an online exclusive that is also available in May. Just fun for summer. Some cool drinks. The Designer Series paper is a lot of fun. Here you can see I used some of it on this card. And there are dies that coordinate again with a lot of the stuff. The stamps, in this case, all the stamps that are on here, the strawberries, the ice cubes, they all have dies that coordinated. And this does coordinate with some of the images on the DSP. So on my belly band, I use the Cheers sentiment, stamp the lemon on here. Again, like I said, textured notes dies. Use that little umbrella, stamp that on the Secret Sea designer paper. It's a very, very dark blue, hard to see the pattern. I use that on the inside also. And then on the inside here, I made my raspberry lemonade. And use some different patterns. This is the Seaside Sea, Secret Sea Designer Series paper. This is paper that's part of the Cheers and Sips suite. Celebratory Sips, I think it's called, the suite. So to make this glass, I made this out of vellum, and that way I could stick this little garnish and this berry behind it. But if you look carefully, you can see it through the glass. So I thought that looked more realistic than if everything was stuck right on the glass. So I did use vellum. I used a Stampin' blend and colored in here and then spritzed it really lightly, very, very lightly with a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and took a small brush and just moved it around. Coloring with Stampin' blends on vellum, it can get kind of streaky. It doesn't like to blend so much. So the spritzing with the alcohol and then just taking a little painter's brush, you could use your water painters. Use them dry though, don't put water in it, and just kind of smear it around. The glass is stamped with Versamark and the ice cubes. Both the glass, they're embossed with silver. So that is that, and here's the back. I just stamped some more garnishes and used the same paper that is here on the envelope flap. This is a different paper that's got a bunch of garnishes in. This one has a bunch of bottles and pictures. So that is card number 3. Now, like I said, this one will be available on my blog tomorrow morning, bright and early. So if you want to download a tutorial that has all the dimensions for this card, the specific dimensions for this card, which are, other than probably the belly bands that I made a little bit different, even that here is very similar to 2 of them. So those are the cards. All right, I hope you like those. I hope you like that fun fold. It looks like it's difficult, but it's not. I think you can see that. So I'm going to flip my camera back and we will wrap this up. I hope you like it. If you did, will you give me a thumbs up? Share it with your friends. Then they can watch too, and we can all learn together. So that'd be great. I'd appreciate it. Subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll be notified whenever a new video goes out. But they are always Thursdays at 10 a.m. is when I do my best to have the videos go live. So thank you for watching. You have questions, please leave a comment below. I appreciate you watching. I really appreciate your comments, those of you who leave comments. So we will sign off. Have a great rest of your week. God bless, and we'll see you next week with something else. Bye-bye.